Hey, welcome to another One Mind meditation. A very good morning to you, or maybe it's a good evening to you. While we wait a few minutes to allow whoever wants to join us to jump online with us, you can take your time, start some deep, easy, slow belly breathing, inhaling all the way into your belly. Imagine there's a balloon in your belly, and with every inhale you are inflating that balloon in your belly with a slow exhale after. Good morning, Julian. Very good to see you, man. While we wait a minute or two, I'll read you a quote or so, and I'll discuss quickly what today's meditation is about. I've got two quotes to share with you from Jiddu Krishnamurti, and they feed very nicely into today's journey. Good morning, Serene. Very good to see you. Right, the very first one is, meditation is to be aware of every thought and of every feeling. Never to say it is right or wrong, but just to watch it and move with it. That's how Jiddu Krishnamurti describes meditation. It is to be aware of every thought and every feeling, never to say it is right or wrong, but just to watch it and move with it. Good morning, Anthony. Good evening, Anthony. How you doing, man? And then one more is, meditation is not withdrawal from life. Meditation is a process of understanding oneself. Meditation is not withdrawal from life. Meditation is a process of understanding oneself. Good morning, Karabo. Very good to see you. Christos, good morning, dude. So good to see you. These two quotes fit nicely into today's journey, today's meditation journey. There's a sense of self, and that's what we're exploring in today's meditation, is we're exploring a sense of ourself. Good morning. Is it Marie or Mary? Marie, I'm going to go with Marie for now, but please let me know if I don't get it right. Good morning, Marie. We all have more than one. Vivian, good morning. So good to see you. We all have more than one experience of ourselves. And it often feels to me that one of our biggest pitfalls, one of the biggest things that make us struggle with ourself, good morning, Marcella, is our expectation of this self being one thing that should always be the same thing. This self should always be happy. This self should always be good-natured. This self should always be positive, never negative. And I often feel that that is our biggest obstacle as humans. Today's journey takes us on the experience of more than one way in which we can experience ourselves. Top of the morning to you, Maggie. Good morning, so good to see you. We have more than one experience of ourselves, and happy and sad are two very obvious ways in which we can experience this self as two almost opposite things. Good morning, Andre. Very good morning to you. Now, while today we won't be diving into the scientific journey of this, I want to mention that it is awesome to keep in mind that your autonomic nervous system is split into two branches. In your autonomic nervous system, you could either be in your sympathetic nervous system or in your parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight, and every time you have a thought of any kind of a fear, any kind of a worry, any kind of an anxiety, you switch on that parasympathetic nervous system, and that nervous system gives you access to only the parts of your body and brain that help you fight or run. When you stop, when you slow down, when you take a couple of deep breaths, you help your body to ease over to the other nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. And that parasympathetic nervous system opens up different areas of your brain and your body to you and now you have access to all of it because you're not in a state of survival. Your goal right now is not fighting or running, but creating, and now you get access to all of it. And just before we get started, think for a moment that these two nervous systems, if it gives you access to different parts of your brains, these two nervous systems are almost two opposing personalities. And that's at least partly the reason why we sometimes experience ourselves being one way and sometimes experiencing ourselves being completely the opposite way. And that sometimes feels confusing. How can we be these two completely different ways? So if you're ready, we're diving into today's meditation journey with that as the background. And I hope it makes sense to you. I trust it will make sense to you as we dive in today. So if you're ready, my coffee is done. You can close your eyes, and we'll start by taking the first few deep breaths together. Let's take a deep breath in. And release. Deep breath in. And release. Deep inhale. And let it go. Deep breath in. And out. One more together breath. Deep breath in. And let it go. Continue with the same breathing pattern on your own time. And try and feel into the breath that will work for you in this moment. I try to create a rhythm with my breathing that should generally fit everyone, but that might not be where you are today. You might need to go slower. You might need to go softer. Feel into your breath and adjust to what you need. With every inhale, breathe into your belly as you stretch your spine and bring the top of your head towards the ceiling. After raising yourself up, take that little pause at the top to create a bit of anticipation. And when you exhale, soften your spine, slump your shoulders, drop your head. Allow your body to melt into a complete surrender. As you continue a few more minutes of full body breathing, I want you to bring to your mind a visualization. Something we've all experienced, we've all felt, very easy to relate to. The journey is exploring these two almost opposite ends of the spectrum that we are sometimes. And we're starting with the small self, the scared self, the shadow self, different ways of possibly naming this aspect that we have. The visualization I want you to bring to your mind as you continue your full body breathing is being in traffic, driving. We've all had those moments of road rage when a car cuts in front of us, takes the space that should rightfully be our space, puts us in danger, puts other people in danger. And we have an internal and sometimes even external violent reaction. Very aggressive. Flip out, lose our mind. For the next few breaths, I want you to remember such an incident, and maybe you want to relate it not to a traffic incident. Maybe you can relate the same feeling to a different incident. Could be aggression, rage, but it might be fear as well. As you picture this part of yourself, I like to call it small self. Could be scared self, could be angry self, could be shadow self. I don't want you to be trapped in the emotion, but take a step back and just observe that self. You're still focused on your breathing and just watching. Like we started the quote from Jiddu Krishnamurti, which said, meditation is being aware of every thought and every feeling. And that's all we're doing, we're being aware. As you continue your full body breathing, feel with every exhale as your body softens that you're able to put that emotion down. Your inhale fills your belly. Your inhale helps you stretch your spine and lift your head, bringing yourself to the top of the breath. And as you let go, you're not just letting go of the breath, you're also letting go of that emotion, that anger, that fear, helping your body soften, and taking a step back to just look at that small self. At the end of this phase, we want to be able to, as we exhale, soften our bodies, put that self down, not push that self away, not reject that small self, just put that small self down right next to us. And in the second phase, we'll delve into what what the purpose of that small self is, and understanding where that small self comes from. We'll take the last few breaths of this phase together. And today, instead of stretching out, with every long exhale, as you soften your body, see yourself placing this small self on the floor beside you. And as we do, I want you to give this small self a very real and a very deep message. I'm not placing you down to push you away. I'm not placing you down to reject you. I'm putting you right next to me. We'll do the last few deep inhale and exhale together. Take a deep breath in. And release. Slump your shoulders, soften your spine, drop your head. Deep breath in. And release. I'm telling my small self that I'm just placing you next to me, not to push you away, but I want to see. I want to be able to observe. Deep breath in. And release. With placing that small self down beside me, that is a placing down of anger, placing down of fear, placing down of anxiety, right next to me. Deep breath in. And release. I'm simply taking a step back. I'm stepping outside of my small self. While I want to be able to see and observe, I don't want to embody this small self. One more deep breath in. And let it all go. And I want you to give or send a smile to that small self, making it a very clear message. I'm not abandoning you. I'm just exploring what other side of me there also is. From this beautiful space of presence, we can dive deep inside and find what other self are we also connected to. What is the other way that we can experience ourselves? With every deep breath in, we'll follow it with a short breath hold, followed by a long, slow exhale. We'll do the first few together and adjust your breathing to what you need. Deep breath in. And hold. And release. Paying attention to how slow, how long can you exhale for. Deep breath in. And hold. And release. Shoulders slowly fall, feeling every cell in your body soften. Deep breath in. And hold. And release. Fully embodying the feeling of melting and dissolving. One more deep breath in. And hold. And as you release, with every exhale, you're dissolving into an even deeper surrender. Continue with the same breathing pattern. As you inhale, follow the air in through your nose. Feel it slip down the sides of your throat, staying with the breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up that balloon inside your belly, you feel yourself slipping into that inner space, that inner world. Holding your breath is the opportunity to hold yourself inside. Your breath hold should be as long as it's easy. Hold your breath for as long as it feels good. If it's 2 or 3 seconds, that's great. If what's comfortable to you is a half a minute or a minute breath hold, that's also good. When you let go, make it the longest, slowest exhale possible. Feeling yourself dissolving into a deeper level of surrender with every exhale. Take as many easy breaths as you need between your breath holds. Come back to your breath hold when you feel ready. On your next big breath, as you dive deep inside, experience what it feels like to let go and fall into you. What does this side of you feel like? And if you're able to surrender into you, holding you inside, what is this self that you're connected to? When you step outside of that small self, going inwards, being connected to something deeper, something higher. It's like being in traffic and someone cuts you off, but you're in a different space. While they grab this space in front of you, you don't mind letting them have the space. Your thoughts go to, it's better that you get out ahead of me than stuck behind me. Maybe you have an emergency. Maybe you have a meeting that you're late for. Take the space. Go. Your next big breath. surrender into that space. Take your next big breath. What does it feel like to be more connected to your higher self? From this space of being deeply connected to the higher self in you, I want you to take a look at the small self you placed next to you. We're going to explore what the purpose of this small self is. What is the role our small self plays? And what can we or what should we do about that? The small self has a very clear purpose. A very necessary purpose. Still a purpose that we don't need to dominate our lives. Before we start with your next deep breath as you dive deep inside, share some love with that small self. Share a smile with that small self. Take your next deep breath. Your small self is tasked with the responsibility of your survival. Deeply connected to that survival nervous system. Every time we activate that fight or flight, then this small self personality is who we embody. He or she has no choice but to fight for your survival. the simple example we used of driving and having someone taking your space, what are the emotions that this small self experiences? The need to survive is always rooted in a fear. Even anger is always seeded by a fear first. Putting your hand on the head of your small self. Take a moment with your next deep breath to understand how this part of you, this small self side of you, always shows up because of a fear. Take your next big breath. Take a moment to think about the words that your small self uses. Words directed at himself, words directed at herself. The way we speak to ourselves can be terrible sometimes. But for a moment, create a little bit of distance and see how this small self gets moved by fear to attack herself, to attack himself. On your next big breath, you're being connected to your higher self. You're an observer. You're not involved in that emotion right now, but watching. Just observe, recall, what are the words that my small self uses against me, the accusations and the judgments and the criticism. Take your next big breath. this space of being deeply connected to your higher self. Can you recognize the fear that triggers your small self to attack you, to attack the world, to become angry, to fight for survival? We'll take the last few deep breaths of this phase together, helping us slip out of the breath holding space into the next space of ease. Take a deep breath in. And hold. And release. Really long, really slow exhale. Deep breath in. And hold. And release. Feeling the softening of your whole body as you slowly exhale. Deep breath in. And hold. And as you release, feel yourself slipping out of this breath holding space and into the next space of complete ease. No more attention to your breathing. Just floating. This higher self that you're so deeply connected to right now also has a very clear purpose. You were created to create. Your higher self is deeply connected to the power of creation. When our small self is triggered through fear, and when we get stuck in that small self space for a continuous period, continuous amount of time, that we don't have a choice but to try and create from that small self. Create for survival, create out of fear. And creating and fighting becomes almost the same thing. But when we're able to put that small self down, step into our higher selves, we embody what creation is. from freedom. Creating because it's all available to us. Because creating is our birthright. The only thing that pulls us away from this beautiful space is a scared small self. Scared small self that says, hey, I'm fighting for my life here. Pay attention. Because that is her purpose. That's his purpose, survival. And there's only one solution when we have a scared small self. To be able to step back up to our higher self, there's only one path. To accept this scared small self as doing its job. Its purpose is survival. It's always looking for those red flags. And when the small self is scared, it's doing its job. When we attack ourselves for being fearful, when we attack ourselves for the scared thoughts we have, the survival thoughts we have, and we're attacking something that's already scared. And when you attack something that's already scared, you can expect only one outcome: more fear. And when I experience more fear, my only solution is to fall back into old patterns that kept me alive in the past. The moment you attack your small self, you force yourself back into old patterns. When I put my arm around this small self, with appreciation, with love, saying thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for doing your job. I appreciate how hard you're trying to fight for my survival. I love you. I love you for fighting so hard. And I'm choosing to step up into my higher self. Anytime you're scared, I'll come back down here and sit with you until you feel less scared, and then I'll step up and embody my higher self again. The only way we spend more time in our higher selves is by completely accepting the small self that is sometimes scared. Every time we're able to sit with that small self and listen to him, listen to her, allow him to speak, allow her to speak, say thank you, I appreciate you, and I love you. Then we're able to step into our higher selves again. When you're able to accept and love every part of you, even the parts you don't like, that's what gives you the freedom to reach for the higher part of you. We have only the last 5 breaths of today's meditation left to do. Join me in gratitude. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and I invite you to say yours. Let's take a deep breath in. Thank you for this wonderful design of having these opposite experiences of myself. Deep breath in. Thank you for this small self that's always really tried hard to fight for my survival. Deep breath in. Thank you for learning that I don't have to stay in this survival space. I can acknowledge and accept my small self, and then also step up to my higher self and create fearlessly. Deep breath in. Thank you for no longer having any more judgment, any more criticism of my small self. Only love and appreciation. Which means it's become much easier to spend a lot more time as my higher self. One more deep breath in. Thank you to all the beautiful humans coming together this morning, holding a space for each other, holding a very sacred space, allowing each other to look at themselves. I found it to be a very healing journey to be able to look at yourself at the different aspects that you are. It's part of our design, it's part of the architecture of our minds that we have these different experiences of ourselves. There's nothing wrong with you if sometimes you feel this way and sometimes you feel the complete opposite, and sometimes you can go from here to here in a matter of seconds or minutes, or back and forth during a day. It's part of how your mind was designed, and then we're connecting our minds with a soul or spirit, and it feels confusing. You were beautifully designed. Your mind works exactly the way it was designed to work. What you're feeling is exactly how you were designed to feel. But when you develop a love and an appreciation for that small self, that scared self, that dark self, shadow self, then it becomes a lot more light, simply because you start loving it. It's not complicated, it's actually very simple, but it's not easy to do until it becomes easy. And it does become easier. Let me see who I can say hello to. Good morning, Damien. Good morning, Vicky. Good morning, Philip. Michelle, a very good morning to you. And Lucinda, good morning. And Yuhan. Thank you for the beautiful messages, Anthony and Maggie and Serene. I'm wishing you a day filled with deep connection to your higher self. And then when the small self comes calling, when that fearful voice is what pulls you down from that higher self space back onto the ground, to have patience and space and kindness for that part of you. It'll help you return to your higher self much faster. So much love for you. I'll see you back here again tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.